My name is Amanda. My daughter, Ame. In high school, growing up and on cheerleading, I was just always the go-to girl, growing up to do hair.
Well, what got me started in hair was, I would have to say, my mother, actually. I used to be in the salon and just be with her, watching her do what she do, and then I would go home chopping Barbies up. And
I remember the exact moment that I fell in love with hair. And it wasn't hair to me. It's not hair, it's art. My mother had a salon in California, and I was her right-hand girl, sweeping up the hair. And my mother looked at me and she said, "You ready to cut some hair?" And when I got done, it was like success.
After that, I was just like, okay, I think, this is what I want to do.
Before I got into Paul Mitchell, the school, I really downward spiraled in my addiction, and it took me to a pretty dark place.
I don't want to say we were in poverty, but we just didn't have much. Basically, I jumped off the porch, and I moved from Southern Illinois to Chicago. We got off the Amtrak train, and I just put my suitcase down, and I cried because I realized, I'm here in basically a foreign land, and I'm homeless.
The drugs got a hold of me, and it took me down the roughest road I've ever been down in my entire life. I wouldn't leave my home because I hated who I was. I wouldn't even look in the mirror.
I was just tearing my life apart, and I couldn't get out of my addiction. My using had gotten to the worst of the worst.
I found myself hungry, homeless. And when I say hungry and homeless, I mean the next time I had an opportunity to go home where my mother and my family was, I remember my sister seeing me and just breaking out in tears and crying. And all she could say was, "You're so skinny. Why are you so skinny?" "I'm hungry. I'm hungry."
I had just became so sick and tired of being sick and tired.
And I downed 2 bottles of sleeping medications, and I was pronounced dead. Sorry. I was dead.
When I first started, I was like, I don't know if I can balance going to school or paying bills, So I was just like, I'm gonna just stay in my car. And I told you I worked overnight, so I'll just sleep in my car until it's time for me to go to work. So
I was kind of up all night getting sick, detoxing from the drug I was on. And then the next morning I woke up and my right eye was completely crossed. I couldn't see. Everything was doubled. It's hard to say. I didn't think I could ever do hair again.
I woke up, it was in the morning, and I was like 9 or 10 o'clock in the morning. And I said, because I drive by Paul Mitchell every day. I'm like, and that's what I've always wanted to do. I said, well, I'm going to just go and look at the school. I didn't think that I'd be able to go.
I was never the type to sit down and read a book. To me, reading a book, I would read the words and they would just fly out of my mind.
When I got to Paul Mitchell, my breath of life literally started that day, that very day.
For more than 15 years, Paul Mitchell schools have been training the finest beauty and hair care professionals in the world. Each year, more than 14,000 students find their futures in 113 schools nationwide. About 70% successfully complete their programs. 96% receive their license, and more than 75% find jobs. Few schools have achieved such success, and indeed, Paul Mitchell has set a new standard for education.
They give you a multiple intelligence test your first, second day there. So the multiple intelligence test tells me what kind of learner I am. So then my teachers can teach me accordingly.
And the way they teach is uncanny.
Perhaps even more important are the countless lives that have been changed.
The instructors at Paul Mitchell helped me through a lot of hard times going through Paul Mitchell, crying and, sorry.
I can be a member, a active, like worthy, like a member of this society and this community, because now I have something to hold on to.
I was able to get my vision back. I got my dream job. I have a brand new car. I have relationships with my family. I can fully support myself in every aspect that I need, and plus I have extra. I have all these things again because of my education that led to my career.
I didn't think I'd get emotional, but talking about the opportunity to be here, it really, I think that's every parent's dream, is to give their kids something to be like, wow, my mom or dad fought hard for me and showed me like something. That's, I think, why we all work so hard.
I went to one of the best schools I could possibly think of, and now I'm gonna be cutting Bill Clinton's hair in just a few weeks. Like nothing, like it's just nothing.
Now government overreach is threatening the futures of these students. In a move to regulate for-profit schools, some of which are not graduating students into jobs that regulators believe are lucrative enough, the Obama administration created rules that threaten to close 1 out of every 3 cosmetology schools. 1 out of every 3 schools that these students depend on.
I applied for financial aid. I didn't have the money to go.
I ended up going to Paul Mitchell because I was able to receive some financial help that put me in a position where I could go and attend school and really be focused without worrying about where the money would come from.
Everything that financial aid helped me with going to school is definitely making my life better. I mean, they helped me get to that point and to, take care of myself as an adult, as a woman, to provide for myself.
If I didn't get approved for financial aid, I wouldn't have gone to school. I wouldn't be able to do hair. I wouldn't be able to do anything that I love right now. And then what?
The new rules, which overzealous bureaucrats call gainful employment regulations, do not apply to public universities. They only affect for-profit schools, requiring students who receive federal loans to find jobs with earnings that are more than 12 times what they have to pay on their student loans. Meeting this strict ratio is difficult, if not impossible, for a tip-based industry like cosmetology, an industry where many students graduate to work part-time or open a small business in their home.
I got done in less than a year. And in that time, yeah, it was hard, but I don't have to spend the next 6 years, 10 years trying to figure out how am I going to get on my feet after this. Like, I can go to work now.
After school, I'll be able to pay all my debt back and be something that I feel is proud of.
Without access to federal loans, these students will be unable to afford educations and the training that can change their lives forever. Denied access to loans, students, particularly the most vulnerable, can't afford an education. Many will be left with few options, cut off from the career they dreamed of, a career that would make all the difference for them, for their children.
I can't imagine not having any form of help like that. Who does that? It needs to be available, period.
All these students want is an opportunity, a chance to dream, to work, to take care of those they love.
Paul Mitchell saved my life. And I mean that with every beat of my heart. And I'll never forget it.